Hello, ladies. Welcome to Module 8 in the Boss Lady Coaching Program. I cannot believe it. We have come to the end of the road for our modules, though there are two more bonus trainings. But this module is all about crafting your book in self-publishing, and I am so excited to present this to you. So as I said, it's the last module, but there are going to be two more follow-up trainings, and I will give you the dates for that later on this week. But there'll be one in December and then one in January. Just one a month to keep the fire burning, keep you moving, and keep you going as you embark on your entrepreneurial coaching journey. So let's just go over what we talked about last module. So last module, we discussed the importance of hosting live events, how to structure your live events, attract co-creators, and use them to build your audience, the benefits of live workshops, the power of retreats, tips for hosting and planning your first retreat, and how to structure your first retreat. So I cannot wait to see what you ladies are dreaming up for your retreats. So excited to see you as you progress and move forward with that. This module, we will discuss the importance of having a book, how to write your first self-help book, how to outline your book, how to find a professional editor and layout person for your book, how to get amazing testimonials before your book is even published, how to get a professional cover design and book summary, how to cheaply self-publish your book. So first, let's talk about why you must publish a book. Number one, as a coach, having a book is essential. I almost want to say mandatory. Any serious life coach out there has a book. It's just basically how you establish yourself as an expert in the field. It brings the potential for more clients, right? When people hear about your book, they begin to follow you. People read your book. You automatically get people to really become a future client. They continue to follow you. But, just by having your book, you have created a wider audience. Having a book allows you to help other people who may not be able to afford a program. So obviously, you're going to price your program, at a good price. Some people may not be able to afford to purchase a coaching program for you. However, they may be able to afford a $20 book. And this, it really gets at the point of what we're really trying to do through being a coach, which is to really help people. So the more people you can help, the more influence that you have. And this will help your message to spread. And eventually it will get you more clients. And so the last thing, reason why having a book is essential is because it builds your audience and your platform. And as I said, the more people who know about you, the more people who know you, the more money you make. And that's just basically what it is. Also, the more people that you help, the more and the wider your influence will be. And this will once again help to establish you as an expert and to really just, help you to build that life coaching career on a solid foundation. So here you see there's a cover of Iyanla Vanzant of her book, One Day My Soul Just Opened Up, 40 Days and 40 Nights Toward Spiritual Strength and Personal Growth. Iyanla Vanzant is a best-selling author, I don't know how many times, right? The cover says 8 million copy best-selling author. That is absolutely amazing. I have Iyanla Vanzant's books. I've never met her. I don't know if I'll ever work with her. I'd be happy to work with her, but the point is, Iyanla Vanzant has reached millions and millions of people through her books. People who may not ever get to see her or touch her or speak to her or do a program with her. People who may never go on, Iyanla Fix My Life. But she has touched millions and millions of people. And that is the potential and the power behind being a published author and having a book. So your book is a helpful tool as well. When people introduce you, they can announce you as an author. And that, just when we hear that, that does something. When people hear, oh, so-and-so published a book, so-and-so is an author, or here's life coach and author, Lady Shepza, life coach and author, whomever, Iyanla Vanzant. It really establishes you. People are impressed. When you write and publish a book, it impresses people because there's so many people who say they're going to publish a book and they never do it. So many people who say they're going to write a book and it never happens. So when you complete that task, when you complete that goal, Even if you don't sell a ton of copies, people still admire you that you actually did it. You are an author. That is a title that you can use. Also, when you have your book, you can take it with you to sell during your workshops and your retreats, right? We talked about having live workshops, having live events, and having something to sell. And having a book, that is a beautiful thing to sell at these events. Something for people to take home and to begin to, work with you and follow you even more. So the benefits of having a book are really immeasurable. So now we're going to talk about crafting your book. So the process of crafting your book isn't much different than crafting a coaching program, webinar, or live workshop. So we have talked about crafting the coaching program. We've talked about crafting your live webinar as well as workshops. So it's pretty much the same formula, but just, applied a little differently because obviously it is a book. So this formula, we should be familiar with this by now. Your book is going to target a pain point, which is your point, the point A, right? And focus on shifting your reader to their pleasure point, their point B. So we know this. This is a format for everything that we're doing, and the life coaching world is helping our readers, whether, our workshop attendees, our webinar attendees, whomever it is, to get from their pain point, which is their point A, to their pleasure point, which is their point B. That is basically the work in a nutshell. So your book is going to be doing this as well. So first, for your book, you must decide what your pain point focus is. Now, in terms of book sales, like my self-help book that I published this year was actually my second book. My first book I published was a poetry book. Now, in terms of books that are easiest to sell, self-help books are actually the easiest to sell. And why is that? It's because people are self-centered. People really care about themselves and their journey. So when you write a self-help book, you are helping people to help themselves, to figure themselves out, to heal themselves, to change their lives. So that book is actually an easier sell than, say, a novel or a poetry book. And that's not saying that you can't sell those books, or that if you are creative, because I'm very creative, I have my poetry book, I have a novel I've begun, but just in my research, those books are actually harder sells when you don't have like a big name, or people aren't directly interacting with your work. If you're not like at an open mic and you perform and then you sell poetry books, and that's kind of easy because people know you, they saw you. But in terms of just selling books online, people who don't know you at all, self-help books are the easiest to sell because people want help, they want answers, and your book will provide that. So I'm going to break down several steps that you're going to take to craft your book and to outline your book. So step one, of course, is, like I said before, find your pain point. What is the major pain point your book is going to solve? Now, this doesn't have to be the same pain point or the same focus of the coaching program you created, though it can be. Or what I really advise is that, later on you craft a program around your published book. That's what I did. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But, your book can have a different focus than your coaching program. So don't feel like, it's going to be the same thing as my coaching program or have to make it line up. You can do that if you want. It's kind of smart to do that, but you don't have to. I have several different coaching programs, but at the time that I published my book, my coaching programs did not address that particular pain point. And once my book was published, I created a coaching program that did address the same pain point as my book. And it was, wrapped up and connected with my book. So in order to find your topic for your book, I advise that you sit and meditate on what the pressing topic that you're passionate about is and that you're qualified to write about. So what makes you qualified to write about a particular topic or a particular pain point? Of course, having an experience in that topic, having a transformational experience in that topic. So, finding what our transformational story was one of the things that we talked about early on in the program. So everything is connected. Everything is related. So think about what your transformational experience was, how you got from your point A to your point B. It's the same thing with your book. You're going to relate that and you're going to connect it to your book. And this makes you qualified to write a book about it because, hey, I went through this, I was at this pain point, I was at this point A point, and now I've arrived at my point B point. So I'm qualified and I wrote a book about it. And now if you don't have it, now let's say you want to write a book about a particular topic and you don't have a transformational experience on that topic. Now, some authors do that. I don't know. for your first book, that may be kind of challenging, but if you want to do it, that's fine. But if you want to write about a topic that you necessarily haven't had a transformational experience around it, the other way to become an expert is to do research and to study it. Right? So if for example, let's say you wanted to write a book about dating, so you may not consider yourself an expert on that topic, but you're interested in it. It's something that you want to become an expert on. So now your task is to approach it as a study and to do research on it and then become an expert on it and then write your book. But that way kind of takes a little bit more time, but it does require research. So you think about, for you, what's the best way right now for you to approach crafting and writing your book? Is it going to be rooted in your own transformational experience, or is it going to be rooted in research and you studying? And obviously, when you research and study something, you will have a transformational experience based upon your interaction with that content. So, it's up to you for you to decide. Another approach to finding your topic is to observe what problem you see people facing around you. You could also interview people. So, just look at your clients, look at people who fit your ideal client avatar. What are they talking about? What's the major issue that they're dealing with? And if you've done interviews, you can go back and look at those interviews. What's a common theme that keeps coming up? What's a common topic that people are really struggling with that you can write a book about? So for example, when I set out to write my book, I knew I wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted to write a self-help book, but the original topic was different than what I wound up publishing. Before, I kind of just wanted to write a book that was was more general. It was about like this turning on and tapping into your goddess. And of course, that topic is important and still very potent, but I saw another topic that was really pressing, and it was something that I was working through that I decided to write my book about instead. So yeah, it can shift. Look at what's happening around you, look at the problems people have, look at your own life and decide what is the pain point that you want your book to address. Another note to that, you want to make sure you're passionate about your topic and that you really care about it. This is going to translate in your words as well as your writing. So writing a book is a very disciplined experience, and there will be times when you will not feel like writing. And I can personally testify to that. I am a writer. I will say I identify myself as being a writer. Writing is one of my loves. I love writing. However, even when it came time for me to write my own book, sometimes I didn't want to do it. Sometimes I had to force myself to do it. So it's the passion that you have for your topic that's going to keep your fire burning to help you to write that book. So don't just choose something that you think, oh, this is going to sell a lot of books, whatever, because people are talking about it. Don't go for just being trendy. I mean, you can be trendy, but make sure you're also passionate about it as well, because that's going to keep you going. Step 2, crafting your book. Find your pleasure point. So obviously, we know about the pain point. We talked about how to find that. You're going to take your readers on a transformational experience to manifesting that pleasure point, that point B that they want to get to. So once you have your pain point, your topic, you're going to figure out, where are you taking your readers to? What are they going to know how to do by the time they finish your book, right? What transformation will they have gone on? So this is something that you have to find out for yourself. So once again, if you're looking at your own life as an example, think about where you are now compared to where you used to be. So let's take maybe self-love as an example, or confidence. Perhaps you were unconfident, you didn't have a lot of, self-love growing up, and this manifested in you having, a lot of broken relationships and a lot of relationships in which you didn't feel love, right? So perhaps the transformation you went through now is that you love yourself and you have a beautiful relationship and a commitment with yourself. And this translates into, you having better relationships, or, better abundance coming to you, however that transformation manifested. So let's just give you an example. Find out where you're taking your clients to. What's the journey that they're going to go on? What's the end result that you want them to have by the time they finish your book? What is the pleasure point? Step 3, identify what are the steps that your reader will go on to manifest that result. So just like in a webinar or a workshop, you're going to give the reader very concrete steps to follow to get to their pleasure point. So, we went over the whole thing about having steps. So you need to decide how many steps your book will have. Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 7? Is it 9? You know, I don't recommend having a 25 steps. You could, but you know, you got to write all those chapters. So sometimes simple is best. So remember also what I mentioned about, for some reason, odd numbers seem to work and to work for people, you know, psychologically. So you can think about that in terms of when you decide how many steps you want your book to have. You don't have to have an odd number. You could have 4 steps if you want your books to have 4 steps. But, you know, I wouldn't I recommend, you know, 7 steps or under, just to keep it manageable for you and also for your readers. They don't want to, you know, it's kind of hard to remember 15 steps, you know, but 3 steps, 5 steps, 4 steps, 7 steps, we can work with that. So the way to find your steps is to think about how you transform yourself to get the results that you present in your book. You know, very similar to that work we did in deciding what our coaching program is going to be. So think, how did you overcome that issue? How did other people that you know conquer that issue? What are those steps? So I'm just going to share what my 5 steps are. So my book, Happy and Healed, has 5 steps. And this book is all about healing from a breakup and healing, you know, and opening to new love. So my first step is let go. My second step is look in the mirror. My third step is fall in love with you. Fourth step is keep it moving. And the fifth step is open to the new. So my book is based entirely on these 5 steps, and it makes it very manageable and very doable, and it makes it just very easy for your audience and your reader to follow when you have very concrete steps lined out in your book. So once you have your steps, step 4 is to come up with your hot title. Now also I would say, side note, your title may change. My original title that I had when I was probably halfway through my book is not the title the book has, but hey, just how, you know, come up with a working title for your book, and you can always go back and revise it and change it. So the key to coming up with a hot title is to be clear, feature keywords, and show the point A to point B point. So in terms of being clear, no one should have to guess what your book is about. This is not a time to be poetic. Be clear and concise. So sometimes people have these really poetic, very mysterious titles, you know, for their books. Like, I don't know, I'm going to make up something that's going to be like super deep, like walking in the shadows, you know, stepping into the light. And all of those could be great titles, but it needs to have something else to really solidify what that book is about. So in terms of your book title, don't be super poetic. Be very clear. Be very concise. You want to include keywords. You're going to insert common Google words or keywords that will resonate with the pain and pleasure points of your audience. So when I say keywords, I mean words that are identifiable from your audience to your audience, with your audience, that words that they will be able to resonate with, that when they see that word, it will click with them because it's going to resonate either with their pain point or their pleasure point. So here's some examples of keywords: happy, joy, bliss, marriage, divorce, healing, success, money, you know, abundance, like words like that basically are really keywords that people would Google, right? You can also even, Google has a tool that you can actually go and search. I believe it's using Google Analytics, but you can search on how many times a keyword has been searched on Google in the past month. And this will let you know kind of what the trends are for your keywords that the people are actually searching it, because you want to have the keywords in your book title so that when people search for that topic or search for your book, it's going to come up when they look up that topic. So the keywords need to reflect in your title, have to reflect what you imagine your audience might Google, like I said, on that particular subject. They should also include emotional words that reflect their pain and pleasure points. So you're going to create a title for your book that is eye-catching and include a subtitle. I highly encourage having a subtitle. The subtitle gives you the opportunity to work in more keywords. So let's look at some examples of best-selling books that are crafted with good titles that really reflect what I'm talking about. So a very popular book that I highly recommend is a New York Times bestseller. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek, right? So it has a number in there. It has 4. You know, numbers work for some reason. It helps people to be, you know, they get latch on that because the numbers are very clear. So The 4-Hour Workweek: escape 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. This is by Timothy Ferris. So I actually have this book, and I do recommend getting it, especially as an entrepreneur. So with this book, he gives the pleasure point, a 4-hour work week. Who don't want to work 4 hours a week, right? That's dope. Escape the 9 to 5. So he's telling you what he's going, what you're going to be able to do. That 9 to 5 is a pain point. Escape 9 to 5. Now we're going to get to the pleasure, right? Live anywhere, enjoying the new rich. So let's look at some keywords. Rich is a keyword, escape is another keyword. Live anywhere. This is a time period where people were all about travel, and people are kind of getting this new desire to travel. So, looking at the title, the book is going to be about. The book is going to teach you how to have a 4-hour work week, quit your 9 to 5 job, escape it, right? And live anywhere in the world, and also join the new rich. Dope title. Good job, Timothy Ferris. Now, next book. Now, this is a book I haven't read, but it's one of the best-selling books in the self-help genre. It's called Love for No Reason, 7 Steps to Creating a Life of Unconditional Love by Marcy Shimoff. So this is a New York Times. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She has a book called Happy for No Reason. So let's look at her title, right? She has the keywords in here. Love is a keyword. Love is a huge keyword. Love is the source of life. Love is something that so many people desperately want and desperately are looking for. So love. And her book has 7 steps. When you look at the subtitle, you're going to get 7 steps to creating a life of unconditional love. And she has love again in her subtitle as well, right? So this is, just another example of a carefully, crafted title that reflects that pain point. Which you could for this one, you can kind of infer the pain point. Obviously, the pain point is not having unconditional love and not having love, right? So the pleasure point then is unconditional love, love for no reason. And she's a best-selling author on New York Times list, so I'm guessing that, she has sold a lot of books. Another title that kind of follows this, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is probably a book that you have heard of. Powerful Lessons in Personal Change, right? So this is a book, and it has a quote here too, a wonderful book that could change your life. So 7, 7, that number again, how many steps you're going to get, how many, points you're going to get. 7 habits of highly effective people. Powerful lessons in personal change. So change, I would identify change as a keyword, power also as a keyword, because the whole focus of self-help books is to change your life. So people go to self-help books because they want to change their life. And this book has over 15 million copies sold. So, this book has some power, has some potency, and the title is very clear. It's very specific. Highly, highly effective people. So not just being effective, but how to be highly effective, right? So what this book is going to teach you. And the last one is my book. So just sharing my title with you, Happy and Healed, 5 Steps to Getting Over Any Man and Finding the Love You Deserve. So my keywords here that I focus on were happy and healed, love. Those are keywords. 5 steps. So my book is going to break down 5 steps to do what? Get over that pain point. The pain point is broken relationship, getting over any man and finding the love that you deserve. So, with my book title, I really tried to work in those keywords as well as making sure you were clear my point, my pain point and the pleasure point, and having clear steps laid out. So once you have your title, you got your steps, you got your pain and your pleasure point. Now you're going to outline your book chapter by chapter. So in terms of writing, there's a few ways to do this. Now, some people write from inspiration. I am a creative, so I do write from inspiration. So you may just be walking down the street one day and bam, first chapter of your book, you start to hear the words and you go home and write it out. That is fine. I'm all for writing from inspiration because that's how I write. But I find when I just rely on inspiration, it does not get done. So having an outline for your book for chapter by chapter will help you to give some kind of focus for your inspiration. So we talked about feminine and masculine energy. The inspiration would be the feminine energy. That would be you tapping into, your intuition, getting those words to come and to flow through you. Now, the masculine energetic part is the outline. The outline is going to keep that energy focused. It's going to let you know where you're going. Right? So, I'm giving you kind of the masculine part in terms of giving you a structure, but I do highly encourage you as well to tap into that feminine energy and get those words to flow. But the structure is going to help you even as your words are flowing so that you know where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going with your book, it's going to be all over the place and most likely it's not going to get done. It's hard to write from pure inspiration. So having some structure is definitely helpful. So I'm going to give you a basic structure that you can use to formulate each chapter. Now, this is a basic outline. You can add to this. You could take away from it. You could say, F this, I'm going to be totally in my feminine. I'm not going to have any structure to my book. I read a wonderful book this year that was written that way. Totally in the feminine, hardly has any structure, but, I'm not there yet to write a book that's totally like that. Right now, I like the structure. It works for me, and I think it works for the readers. But you can decide what route you want to go. I'm going to give you the structured way. So, in terms of your chapter, each step represents a chapter in your book. So however many steps you should have that many chapters or more. So if you got 5 steps, you got 5 chapters. You got 7 steps, you got 7 chapters, as well as your introduction, your conclusion as well. So you're going to probably have a couple more chapters than those steps. So each chapter is going to take that step and break it down for your reader. So here's a brief chapter outline. You have your step, you're going to have a quote, find a powerful quote that really gets at the spirit of that particular step that you're conveying. You're going to break down in that chapter, what does it mean? What does that step mean? And why is it important? And with that, you're going to feature examples and anecdotes that illustrate the pain of not doing this step and the pleasure of experiencing the step. So you're going to be a storyteller. Books are about telling stories. I told you, before how people love stories. So within your chapter, each chapter, you're going to have opportunity to tell stories. You can tell more than one, but these examples and these anecdotes are going to relate to the step that you're talking about. And you're going to close with how the reader can apply it. Offer concrete exercises and tips. So I highly recommend, I'm a big exercise person in terms of written exercises, meditation, ritual. You can include those in your books. Whatever those exercises are, think about your coaching programs. You can pull some of those exercises and put it into your book. Give people a concrete way to apply what you're talking about. And make a list of questions your reader might have about the step and write answers. Include the information in your book. So this is more of an exercise, right? So if you have a step, let's say you're writing a book about weight loss and, your first step is about, juicing, and you're going to present the idea of juicing to people. So what are the questions that people might have about juicing? You can write maybe 3 or 4 questions as if your reader is asking that question, and then you write a response. You can even talk to people and ask people what questions they have about juicing and make sure you include that information in the book. So it's not about including the questions. Like the questions are like invisible, but you're going to write the information in the book based upon what do you think are some of the questions people might have about that topic? What do they need to know to truly understand that topic? So in terms of your writing, I want you to imagine you're talking to them. Write in a conversational but professional tone. So, you're talking to your reader. And this is a self-help book. This is not an academic journal. So you don't need to be super technical or, worry about being, super sophisticated. Talk to your reader like you're talking to one of your girlfriends, but do make it professional because you are presenting yourself as an expert. So write in a way that feels comfortable, that feels natural to you. And here are some writing tips. The more time you spend writing, the sooner your book will be done. Choose a time every day or every week that you will dedicate to completing your book. So, writing is a discipline. And as I told you, I'm definitely a feminine writer. I write from inspiration, but when it came time to completing my book, I had to force myself. So, I know there's some people who are writers that they recommend writing every single day, writing every morning, and that's something that you can definitely do. Look at your schedule. Some people get up at 4 a.m. and write. Some people will get up at 5 a.m. and write. With me, in terms of writing my book, what worked for me is to write a lot on the weekends. The weekends, my son goes with his dad, and I'm kind of just like a go all in kind of person. So I will be writing for 10, 12 hours on the Saturday and the Sunday and just really going in. So you decide how you want to work it. Just because with me, I mean, having those long writing hours works because during the week, I'm dealing with my son or I'm working, I have other things I'm doing. I'm running my coaching programs, I'm doing coaching. So I didn't kind of like just writing a little bit every single day. Sometimes I would write during the week, but I would say the bulk of my book probably got written over the weekend when I really had time to myself and I could really concentrate and I can focus and I could go in and write for 8 hours, 9 hours. So you decide what structure is going to work for you in terms of writing your book. It took me about a year to write my book, and I will tell you I was not consistent. I could have finished it sooner. However, I honestly believe during that year I went through my own transformations, and that really informed my book. There were experience, I could have, banged out my book in 3 months, but I would have missed out on some of the experiences that I was going to go through. So, make it's a spirit-led process as well. So you don't got to rush your book. You allow your spirit to guide you in writing your book. But I would take breaks. I wouldn't write for about 3 months or 2 months, and then I would go back to writing. So that's why I said it took me a little bit, about a year, to finish the book. And I was happy with the time because as I said, I went through my own transformation during that time, and it made my book even richer. I also recommend, in terms of writing, doing research. Read other books in your niche or other books that discuss that same subject area, same topic, and find out what angle they are missing, right? We all are unique. So you're going to have, I want you to add to the conversation of that topic for your book in a very unique and special way. My book is about healing from breakups, and I believe my book is very different. It really reflects me as a person, as a coach, as one that's connected to our feminine energy and all about, studying and learning about the goddess. And my book definitely has a different approach than anything that I've read about healing from a breakup. So I definitely recommend find what your angle is to make your book unique. Now we're going to talk about getting amazing testimonials. So once your book is done, you're going to put out a call for readers. Now you can do this through close friends. Definitely recommend that. You can do it. I also recommend having people read your book who don't know you. So you could put out a call to Facebook. Put out a call on Facebook and say, hey, I just wrote a book about X, Y, and Z topic. I'm looking for people to read it. So in order to get those testimonials and that feedback, you're going to offer your book for free. Obviously, they get to read the book for free. They're going to give you feedback and testimonials. I also recommend create an incentive that gets the book read and testimonials back in a timely fashion. So you can decide what that incentive is. If you want it to be a free coaching session, it could be that. My incentive was yoni eggs. I basically put out a call on Facebook for people to read my book. I had about maybe 20 people, get back to me. I also put it out to my email list. So here again is that benefit of having an email list. I put it out to my email list, and I had about maybe 20 people get back to me, which is maybe I think it was more like 17, but almost 20, right? People get back to me that I sent the PDF copy of my book to. So, when I sent it out, I said, okay, I'm looking for, if you could get back to me in about a month. I gave a date that I was going to check in with people. If you get back to me and you finished, I created a feedback form, and I created a space within that feedback form for testimonials. I said, if you get back to me, then I'll mail you a free yoni egg. And, it worked. Obviously, when it comes to this, once again, it's a numbers game. So let's say you get about 20, people, or even less. It doesn't have to be that many. If you get about 10 to 15 people who agree to be readers of your book and to do feedback and to give testimonials, I will always say cut the number in half for people who actually follow through. Because the reality is, people get busy. People say they're going to do something, they're not going to do it. You may have about half of that number, a little more, a little less actually follow through, even with the incentive. So just be very clear that you want to kind of maybe give out more copies than the testimonials you want. I recommend that you get at least 5 solid testimonials. So that means that you need to give out probably 10 copies of your book. So just think about how many testimonials that you want to work with and double that number in terms of how many readers that you should have, and really try to create an incentive to inspire people to actually get back to you and to read it. So you're going to create a questionnaire, and in the questionnaire, the purpose of it is not, you want to get the testimonials, most definitely, that's really important, but you also want to get feedback. Find out what worked, what didn't work, what was unclear, and what you need to revise. Because you do want your book to be successful, so you need to find out what people liked and what may not have worked, what might have been unclear, so you can go and revise your book. And later on, once everything is finished, you're going to use those testimonials that you have on your website, and also ask the readers to upload the testimonials to Amazon. After you get your feedback and make your revisions, so you decide how long you're going to take to revise your book. You might get a lot that you need to revise. It may not be a whole lot that you need to revise. Maybe take a month or two to just revise your book. And after that, you need to hire a professional editor. Please. And that's in capital for a reason. Oh my goodness, I cannot tell you the value of having a professional editor of your book. For my book, I actually had 2 different people edit. I had one person do a overall edit once my book is done. Once my book was finished, before I sent it to people, to read and to give me feedback on the right testimonials, I had one person edit it. And then once I revised my book, I had another person do a professional edit. So now, you may think that your English game is on point, or maybe you got a cousin or auntie or somebody like that they say, oh, I can edit your book for you. That's cool. I would say maybe if you have somebody that's close to you that could do that, have them do it once, but get another edit and make it a professional editor, because there are too many books that people self-publish that are a hot mess because of misspelled words or grammar mistakes or layout mistakes, and it just makes you look unprofessional. So I highly advise hiring a professional editor. There's a website called Elance, and I'm going to give you the link to all the information that you can find a professional editor who will do the layout for you. So the layout of your book is basically how your book looks on paper. So you need somebody to do professional layout, because that can get really, really tricky. There's certain things with the margins that your book, needs to have, and you want to set all of that up. So make sure you have that. And this professional editor can also transform your manuscript into an ebook, and that you can use to upload to Kindle, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The next thing, you need to hire somebody to make a cover design. I recommend using Fiverr. You can get a cheap cover, but a very nice cover for maybe like $15, $20, depending upon what you want. If you don't know about Fiverr, you need to know about Fiverr. Fiverr is thebomb.com, because Fiverr, you can really find people to do cheap work for you all over the world. And because, we're in the U.S., a lot of these people are in other countries. Some of them are U.S., but, you could hire them to do gigs for almost anything, especially related to your work as a life coach. So you can get someone to create a cover for you online from Fiverr. You can also get somebody on Fiverr to write a back of the book blurb and summary that you're going to use on Amazon. I recommend, that's what I did for my book, because I could have wrote my own back of the book blurb, but I was like, I got too much going on, and I want somebody else to handle it. As well as, it's kind of nice to have an outside perspective on your book, so to have another person to write it, because you're very close to your book, and you have what you want to highlight. You can also edit it, because I did edit my book blurb a little bit, but it's really nice to have somebody outside of you create a back, a summary for your book that you will use, to advertise, as well as on Amazon to explain your book. So once your book is done, you also need to get it copywritten. So once the manuscript is done, I definitely recommend that you upload your manuscript to copyright. This is a website, and I'll include all this in the resources, copyright.gov. And you upload your manuscript there because you want to protect your work. You are a published author. They're going to give you like the Library of Congress number and all that other stuff, but definitely copyright your work is really, really important. So in terms of self-publishing your book is super easy. Oh my goodness. And it allows you to have all the rights to your book. So there was a day and age where self-published books kind of looked a hot mess, because we weren't as internet savvy. This technology wasn't the way it is now, but now we have so much ways to make our books look professional. In self-publishing, also when you self-publish your book, you have complete control of your book, as well as you are entitled to all the royalties. So just give you a little story about, Iyanla Vanzant, as you saw earlier, she sold 8 million books, but she wound up bankrupt. If you know about her story, she wound up bankrupt because all those books that she wrote, she didn't have the rights to them. And basically, she didn't manage her money well. So all that money that she made from those books basically went down the drain. And she don't have the rights to them. So, she doesn't really own it. And, so that's kind of a sad story of what happened. Granted, she has her name. She has all those books and people who know about her. So, she's a well-known author and things like that. But, her story is just an example of kind of the downside to, getting professional publishing because, a lot of times you don't have the rights to your book. Granted, they have the ability to push you in front of a larger audience. So, I'm not saying if you want to get a publishing contract, I'm not saying don't seek a publishing contract. If I had a good publishing deal, I would absolutely take it, but a lot of times, I honestly feel like in this day and age, you can totally self-publish, and I don't even waste my time trying to get somebody to publish my book. I totally do it myself because a lot of times, even when authors get a book deal, they got to do the same work that people who self-publish their books have to do, and they don't have the rights to it. So for me, I'd rather have the rights to my book and work my tail off to market my book myself, because honestly, when you have a publisher, they still want to know that you can basically do the work to get your books to move. Unless you're like a huge name, they're not going to be putting much muscle behind you to get your book, marketed and to, get it selling a bunch of copies. You're going to have to do a lot of the work. And for a lot of those publishers, they want to see that you actually have a platform already before they even sign you on, so that they know that they can sell a bunch of books through you. So basically, either way, you got to do the work. And for me, at this point in time right now, if I'm going to do the work, I'm going to do it for myself rather than, have the rights to my book rather than have somebody else do it. So that's my little spiel about the power of self-publishing. I recommend using CreateSpace to publish your book. For my last book, Happy and Healed, this is what I use. It is super, super easy. Here, by using CreateSpace is an Amazon affiliate. It's connected to Amazon. And when you publish using CreateSpace, they will directly upload your book to Amazon as well as Kindle, along as you have a PDF that's created in the Kindle format, which you can get your editor to do for you through using Elance. And I will also, in the resources, I will tell you the name of my editor for my book so that you have somebody, and she does great work. She's amazing, and she'll work with you, and she will create an ebook that you can upload as a Kindle as well, Kindle copy of your book as well. And also through CreateSpace, you can purchase copies of your book for cheap. And, some places you got to order like 500 books in order to, get your copies sent at like a reasonable price. With CreateSpace, you can literally order 10 copies of your book. You can order 20 copies of your book for cheap, and you will not spend a whole bunch of money. So I recommend CreateSpace. So right now we're going to take a quick little look. I'm just going to go on the internet, and I'm going to show you a couple things. So here is copyright.gov, and here basically you're going to go up here. Once your book is done, you can hit, register a copyright, and you will basically decide, they'll take you through the process of copywriting a book. So I don't know what this page is actually. Register a copyright. But yeah, basically copyright.com, you will go and they'll walk you through that whole process of copywriting your book. Here is Elance. So this is actually my Elance, and here's my editor. Her name is Joni. She was great. And basically, let's say if you want to hire somebody, Elance is now associated with Upwork, whatever that is. It's another company, but Elance, you can basically go and let's say you want to hire an editor. You search for editor, and you'll get a bunch of different people. You'll see them, you'll see their picture, they'll tell you their rate, and there's a lot of people here from the US and a lot of people from around the world. The people also have, he's done 58 jobs. You get to rate the person, and you can, click on that person. Well, it says video editor, but it doesn't matter because this is just an example. You can make it specific to the kind of editor you want. And basically it'll tell you the job history, the stars that they have, people recommend them, so you can work it like that. Fiverr is very similar, but you can actually hire an editor on Fiverr, but the issue with that, Fiverr editors I think are more so for smaller projects. Let's say you just want to do an ebook and maybe like 20 pages, and I would say cool, use Fiverr. But if you want to do, my book was over 100 pages, so I would recommend Elance because you basically can custom your deal. So in terms of your book cover, this is a person who does book covers, and you could see, wow, they have all the little book covers that they've done, super 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 cool, professional book cover. And it's the same thing, they have buyer reviews, it'll tell you if they're a top rated seller. You can read people who talk, they'll say what their experience was with that person. And with Fiverr, you can also add extra gigs, extra things to your gig. Like if you want it extra fast, you add $10 for this particular person. So I recommend just clicking on Fiverr, going around and, just checking it out, seeing what these, what is up here that you would like to use when you publish your book, because it's super, super easy. So now let's go to create space, and I signed out, but let's say I just wanted to do a new account. Let's do add a new title. Okay, so let's say you wanted to add a new title for your book. So I'm going to make something up. I'm just going to do Happy and Healed 2. So this is me right now publishing my book, and I'm going to choose paperback. And they have two ways you can do: a guided step-by-step process to publish your book and upload it, or expert if you've already done it before. So let's just do the guided. We'll click get started. And you're basically going to fill out information, your subtitle, the name of you're the author or whatever. If you want to use a pen name, you're going to fill that out. If this is a series, which probably isn't, or an edition, you would put that information as well. So basically it takes you through a step-by-step process. It even helps you to get an ISBN number. So they have ISBN numbers. Basically, you need an ISBN number to publish and distribute your book. So CreateSpace can give you one for free at no charge. But it's going to also say that CreateSpace was a publisher. So if you want to be listed as a publisher, then you can get ISBN for only $10. So this is cool. And you'll set you as the author. They have different options for the ISBN. Interior design. So basically this is where most books are 6x9 in terms of their size. But for the interior, you will decide if it's going to be black and white. It's not letting me do this because I didn't upload the previous information, but obviously if I was uploading things, this would be highlighted. So basically you will be able to upload your book file directly into CreateSpace, as well as the cover design. So once you get the person to make your cover, CreateSpace also I think can make a cover for you, but I think Fiverr is just cheaper. So like here it says professional cover design starting at $3.99. That's ridiculous. Use Fiverr and get somebody to make a cover for you for $10, $15. So we'll go over cover as well, and then you complete your setup. Have the ISBN number. Obviously I have nothing here because I didn't do anything. And then it'll be opportunity for you to review it. And basically once you upload everything, your book manuscript, that PDF file, it's also a place for you to upload it for Kindle, an ebook file, your cover, your, everything that you need for your book. Once you upload it, it'll take them a few days, and they'll basically send you a proof copy, or they will give you opportunity. If you want a published proof copy, you can get that. Or you want to look at the proof online, you can look at a proof copy of your book and then begin to order your book. And then voila, here's my book. You have it on Amazon. And the cool thing with CreateSpace, it has that look inside option, which I believe encourages people to buy your book more. So you can click my book and you can go to table of contents. Here's my chapters, and within my chapters I also included assignments, so you can see what the different assignments are. Here's the back cover. So this blurb on the back cover I basically got somebody else to write. I have my bio, I have my picture. You can do surprise me. You can basically take me to a random part in the book. This basically, I think when you have the look inside feature, it encourages people to buy your book even more, as well as this introduction, this blurb of my book I told you somebody else wrote. And I do recommend, it's easy, quick way to get that taken care of, and you know, something less that you have to worry about after writing a book. You know, get somebody else to write that back of the book blurb, that summary. So this is mine. You can check it out. I'll include the link for my book as well in your resources. I have my bio, and I got 7 reviews. So cool. I got, you know, set people to do reviews for me prior to the book getting published. So once the book was published, I just asked them to upload the reviews, and most people cooperated. So I have 7 here. So that is just a little quickie on how you can get your book published for cheap, really, using CreateSpace, and I highly recommend it. CreateSpace also sends you royalties at the end of every month for the previous month of book sales. So based upon how much you price your book, basically that will tell you how much royalties you will get. So they have a royalties calculator, because obviously, because this print on demand, you know, they are taking a percentage because they're going to send it when somebody orders it from Amazon. This basically saves you from having to go and have a bunch of copies of books stored in your house and being able to mail out copies. You can do that if you want, but you know, you would make more money, honestly. But I basically have copies of my books that I sell at my workshops and live events. But when it comes time to ordering, I just have people do it from Amazon, because that kind of just saves me the headache of having to go and mail it, go to the post office and things like that. But if you want to, you can have your book on Amazon as well as purchase a bunch of copies and mail it out yourself, and you will make more money that way. But it's just a little bit more work. So you decide how you want to do it, because you have the option to do either, which is wonderful. So when your book is done, you can use it to create a coaching program. So my book, I published my book in July, and then I created a coaching program around it. It was called Happy and Healed Love Camp. And it was a 6-week program where basically I took women through my book, and we had guided meditations. They had daily inspirational messages. You know, we had live calls. You know, this made it a group experience. You could also organize a book tour, and you want to market, and promote. So, and this is something that I'm learning. I'll be very honest with you. You know, half of the battle is writing the book and publishing the book. I will almost say that's the easy part. You know, once the book is done, it's done, right? That's 50% of your journey. The other 50% of your journey is selling your book. And that is the part that I will say could be a little harder, a little bit more mysterious, because your people are not going to just go most likely and find your book. You have to market your book. You have to promote your book. You know, you gotta basically sound the bell and call people to go purchase your book. So that's something that I learned, because I have so many projects that's going on right now. Honestly, I kind of dropped my book. I published it this summer. I did my coaching program, and I haven't been promoting it as much. But you know, that's something that I'm focusing on for next year. I'm going to basically relaunch my book and begin to promote it and market it really heavily again, because I'm like, I did all this work and it felt great, and it does feel like a great accomplishment to publish the book and sell some copies. But you have to constantly promote your book. You got to constantly beat the drum of your book to sell copies. Your books are not going to sell by themselves. So that's the other part of the journey, and that's where I am right now. You know, and I'm going to definitely get back to beating the drum of my book, and selling, getting those copies moving and sold, because that is the other huge part, and you deserve it. You did a book, you went through all the work. Now it's time to get that baby up and get people buying. So, oh my God, this brings us to the end of module 8. You made it to the end of the Boss Lady Coaching Academy, and you hopefully have learned so much. I know it is a lot of work, and it is honestly, this is not work that you can do in 8 weeks. Obviously, this is so much here, but and I hope I've given you a solid foundation to launch your coaching career, to publish your book, to plan your workshops, your retreats, your coaching programs, all those wonderful things. And I say congratulations, and I say thank you for sticking with it. I am here to support you. So remember, even after Boss Lady program is over, you still have 2 months of email support. So if you're behind, if you didn't finish everything, you know, whatever it is, you can always email me. I am here to support you. And you're also going to have 2 bonus trainings, one about blogging, which is super important, the other one about Facebook ads and using social media to advertise, which is another part of it. But you got to get those nuts and bolts and things in order first before you start advertising and things like that. So look out for those 2 trainings. I'll announce them, later on this week when they will be. And make sure you get on the final call this Sunday at 9 p.m. And once again, I'm so happy that you've taken this journey. Thank you so much for trusting me to be a guide on this path. And anything that you need, any other resource you need, support that you need, please reach out to me. I'm here for you. And thank you, boss ladies. Goodbye.